because knowing the way sometimes lunatics work, is that he may have decided not to after all. But now that he is formally announced that he is going to be a candidate, so this is, Kaichor News has now become the political arm of a party. It is like the New Nation for the PNC and the Mirror for the PPP. So this is now a political newspaper. So you don't want to expect them any longer, not that they did in the past, to carry anything truthful. So the objective will be glorification of Glenlal, and 2, lying about the PPP. This has been something we've seen in the past. So this is now a political newspaper. So the question is, I recall when we were in opposition, and even now, when the Mirror approaches some private business to give ads, they would say, you know, we can't support a political party, but they may give an ad to the Chronicle or something else. So even now and before that, they would say this is a political party. So first of all, I hope that the private sector organizations, that they also recognize now that this is a political party, and the same thing that they used to tell the Mirror, and no doubt I think they used to tell the New Nation that they can't get ads because they are the arm of a political party. Glenlal has formally launched his political party, that they also stay true to those principles, because I'd be watching now to see if the same ones who used to tell us this, that they couldn't advertise in the Mirror, are now advertising in a political party. So I think that maybe there should be fairness in this. We have to treat the Kaichor News fairly, and this is from a party's perspective, and I hope that the government gives them the same amount of ads that the Mirror gets. So I'm hoping that that will happen, because it will only be fair that this would happen. And places like the Starbuck News may now see an increase in their ads, because, and other newspapers, because this is the fairness. I want fairness now. This is as General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party. I would urge the government and the cabinet, as General Secretary of the party, to treat all party newspapers the same way, fairly, and therefore to treat them the same manner that the Mirror is being treated by the government. The same amount of ads that the Mirror gets, which we have to beg for sometimes, we now need to get that. And maybe the New Nation too should get the same amount. So there's fairness. And the same from the private sector, the people who are telling us they don't advertise in party newspapers, well, now this is a party newspaper. I don't know how it goes down for the journalists, but that's a different matter.
Good afternoon, Tamika Garnett for Guyana Times. I have a few questions, but I want to go them individually. First off, you mentioned the airport going paperless by the end of the year, hopefully.
Hopefully, right?
Hopefully. Can you say that if this this move applies only to the Chedi Jagan International
this
Airport
stage, first.
at this stage. So can we expect the Eugene F. Karai to come along as well as Molson
The
Creek?
expansion of the project later.
Any timeline on that expansion for the other ports?
I think probably before the end of 2025.
Okay.
Because the bulk of the people come through this airport here now.
You mentioned 5 digitization projects. You noted that the airport could go on stream this year. And can you say what are some of the timelines for the other projects, if there's any update on that?
A lot of them are ongoing. Like, for example, the one for the issuance of IDs. We are hoping that before the end of the year, they start issuing the first ID. And it will take about almost a year to get everyone issued with an ID across the country, every Guyanese. There's the Smart Country program that is mainly for e-security. That has been expanded. We now have functional command centers in 6 and 3 to mirror the one in Georgetown at Lelandale. They have a number of cameras in those regions. They're going to increase the cameras, and then we'll expand to other areas in Region 4, and then we'll later roll that out to other parts of the country. The program to digitize our records, the patient management records, that's ongoing too. So a lot of these programs are in full swing, and they wanted, again, automate all the functions in the Ministry of Home Affairs. That's ongoing. So all of these projects are currently under implementation. It's not like something we're thinking about in the future. I know sometimes you come and talk about future things. These are things that we had to conceptualize, do the studies, get the contract in place, and are on the implementation already. The blockchain, use of blockchain technology, we're at the conceptual stage for that. So we have not launched a tender for the use of blockchain technology as yet for these entities. That's where we are.
As pertains to the electronic ID cards, from what age will we be giving those out for, and how will we go about registering the citizens? Is it going to be how similar to how GCOM issues ID card? Do we have to go in and apply? How will that operationalize?
I think it's 14. The ID cards would be from, and you can go into centers around the country, but I think people will go to get their ID card, because if you're a pensioner, you probably need that ID card. Because at some stage to interact with the system, you will need this ID card. So I think you'll have a large uptake quickly of people, because it would be hard to function without that ID card in the country. When you go to the bank, they may very well use the number on the ID card for there will be a connection with your TIN, with your bank account, with your maybe immigration records, your patient record in the system. So one card that will connect you to almost everything else, because the unique numbering system that we are putting in place on each card would allow those systems, even developed separately, to seamlessly integrate with the use of this one card. So you will have the number on the card will mean something and would have to be replicated in your record there. So I think people would have an interest in getting it.
A big concern when it comes to digitization, particularly for government agency, is cyber crimes. and cybersecurity. You mentioned that we'll need privacy legislation. Will this be incorporated into the upcoming Cybercrime Act, or will we be having like totally separate
We already
laws?
passed some privacy legislation. We already did that, robust privacy legislation. We did that last year, I think it was, or maybe earlier this year in Parliament. And each of these systems would have multiple layers of security. So that's being built into the system, the databases that we are creating. Access to the database would be regulated. So if you're in lands and survey and you need to access the database, you may not get approval to access the entire database. So you will probably get only the access to the part that reflects back on your work. And then you can leave footprint. So when people go in to access the database, they leave electronic footprint. So if there is any attempt to do anything in the system, like to alter the system, although it's a lot of the access would be read-only. You can't change the data. So a lot of that is being done in the design, and then we have to build a capability through NDMA and the other places to also tackle cybercrime and across the board, and to ensure that we have the requisite skills nationally to keep the government system safe. So that is also being looked at. We've been training quite a few people already, Guyanese. You don't hear a lot about it, but a lot of them have been going abroad and being trained in cybersecurity, etc.
Clarify, are you saying that the existing laws are enough, or can we expect even more laws in the coming years?
As we go along and we find gaps in the existing law, we will fix those.
Say if this digitization process is part of the government's move towards a cashless society, and can you say if the government has any steps to lead the way for a cashless society? We see a lot of businesses handling a lot of cash. We see robberies. You hear about a lot of cash being transported or being on site at businesses. What are the plans for the government in terms of leading a cashless society, and how does this digitization process play any part, if any?
So that's ultimate. In Guyana, a lot of people use cash for various reasons. Some because they can't have access to payment systems that are electronic. And that happens a lot in the rural areas and the hinterland areas of Guyana. They don't even have access to a bank, a regular bank. And some people, because of corruption, tax evasion, they like to deal with money so they can easily evade taxes or hide their transaction history, which again doesn't get revealed to the law enforcement agency should they be committing crimes of white-collar type crimes. So it's desirable to move to a cashless society. We're not going to eliminate cash totally, but all that I've spoken about electronic payment systems would hopefully allow that to happen. So if you can get money or bank based on a software on your phone, do banking functions or do withdrawals, and you have multiple terminals across the country, and people's biometrics, so the data level would give the bank the assurances that you can't tamper with their payment systems. I think it would help a lot to move more transactions to using electronic means. And then similarly, Once we get this right and people have bank accounts, established bank accounts, and they're secure, we may be able to pay all the pensions directly into their bank account. Now we have to go to, say, in the hinterland, because we wanted to make it easy, we have to go to some of the most remote villages to pay the pension. And it's very hard to do that. And sometimes people don't go, you transfer the money to the region, they don't go out in time, the pensioners are upset. In the past, they had to travel long distances. If you live in say, region, Maruka sub-district, people had to leave their villages and come to the center. Sometimes the money don't get in on time. Creates a lot of hardships. I think we can eliminate a lot of those through this system. So yes, the answer is yes. We want to incentivize the move to a cashless society. We're not going to eliminate cash totally, but I think more and more people will once it's readily available. So every store you go in here now, imagine every store now you could just swipe your card, a debit card or something else. Then people don't need to take out cash. But if 2 stores or 3 stores only have a terminal and the others wanted cash, then that can't happen.
Finally, is there any update you can give us on how the census is going?
The census is completed and they should have issued a report. So I don't know, the last time we spoke about that, please ask the Minister of Finance, because Stats Bureau falls under him, ask him about the report.
Good afternoon, Dr. Jagdeo. Cordell Jones from Livewire News. A lot of Afro-Guyanese youths have been facing attacks and criticisms for views that differ from the PNCR. In some cases, for even taking pictures with government officials. Could you share your views on this?
So, this is something we've been fighting for a long time. And the PNC believes they own people, and therefore any attempt to move away from this so-called ownership is betrayal. And people must remain loyal to the PNC just because of race. The PNC could treat them anyhow, take away opportunities from them, not help them at all one bit to improve their lives, but they're just a vote bank for the PNC based on race. They're vote bank. So our argument in the PPP is that we work for all Guyana, that people can find a home in the PPP regardless of their race, their religion, or their gender. Young people can have a home in this party and look forward to being treated with respect and being pushed to achieve things in their lives, not become victims, not fall victim to a victim syndrome. That we want them to be part of an achiever's syndrome, that they can do things in their lives to succeed, that they can, regardless of their background or their race, they can get a good education, they can find a good job, they can be prepared for a good job, they can get access to opportunities here, and they have a contribution to make. It's this respect for young people and people of every race that's making the PPP attractive. On the other hand, they're still in the old syndrome where people must stay with them because of race, but they can treat them like anything. And they have demonstrated this. What have they done for Afro-Guyanese communities? They've run Guyana longer than we've been in office. And you check the position of Afro-Guyanese communities in 1992. Find out how many had land, or how many own a car, or had a job. Then you will get the picture of what I'm talking about. Just basic things. Basic things. Jobs, housing, own a vehicle, etc. And you will see the difference. Look at their communities. Had access to healthcare and education. Good quality healthcare and education. Nothing absolutely. In 1990, I already pointed out that the report from the former Secretary General of CARICOM, Alistair McIntyre, said we were poorer than Haiti. That is APNU, poorer than Haiti, not for Indo-Guyanese alone, poorer than Haiti for all Guyanese. We're all poor, regardless of our race. That's their history. After 28 years in government, the people that they love so much today, they claim they love so much, treated like dirt too. They treated all of Ghana like dirt. And they hang on to this notion so that, oh, you're betraying the clan. The clan, we're one clan, the Guyanese clan. For them, it's a race. And you have no hope. What are they going to offer young people here? What are they, even in their policies? Oh, they want to help you rent properties. Well, if they get into office, they'll help to pay your rent. We expect everybody who apply for a piece of land now, they will get it. It's just a matter of time. We're investing in that, and you see evidence of it. Everyone, because we want them to own a piece of land, we will assist to get their housing done. We want them to find good paying jobs. We want better quality education and healthcare, a scholarship that we are willing to pay for, not only for ministers and their family, but for everyone. That's what we're about. So they get very upset and angry with young people, and they vilify them, especially, or anybody who join us. Look at New Amsterdam. When people join the PPP campaign, the personal vilification, the name calling, everything. Every day. That's all they can do. Abuse people, expect them to be loyal even if they treat them like dirt, which they did in 2015 to 2020. People, the same activists, you ask the Dalrymple family that's supportive of the PPP, a hardcore APNU family or PNC family all their lives, hardcore PNC family, campaigned like crazy for them in 2015. You ask them how they were treated in the post-2015 period. The same ministers who used to go home by them, and Granger who used to talk to them. They couldn't find a job, nothing. You ask people who were hardcore PNC. They treated people like dirt, and they continue to do so. The elitism, you look at the way they behave. Look at the last AFC Congress. It was the Georgetown-based middle class fossils. So Trotman from Georgetown, the Nigel Hughes, and Patterson. Those are the three leaders now they selected. Chairman, General Secretary, and leader of the party. Three Afro-Guyanese, but you think, when Patterson was minister, he didn't go to Lane Avenue to fix the road there. We did that. We walked down Lane Avenue and got the road fixed. Patterson didn't go there. Or all the roads that are being done in the city, Patterson didn't do that. He was busy giving contract to unsolicited bids taken to cabinet to award contracts for the study of the bridge. A story type like feasibility study with all the pictures and nothing else. It gets me so disgusted when I talk about it. You think they cared anything about ordinary people in the city, ordinary Afro-Guyanese? How often did he go to Linden, any one of them, to fix a road in Linden? Find out how many roads are being fixed in Linden now. And housing, zero housing for Linden, when we're doing for 1,400 house lots now. So, oh, but we're the ancestors, you remember? Ancestors and them. This old talk about appealing to people using the dog whistle, racism. His ancestors sent him there to Linden. So this is what we have across there. They believe people must support them regardless of whether you get opportunity or not. And I think a lot of people have seen through that. What are you going to go back to? They're inept. They can't run anything. Can't run their parties, much less run government. And I think people are looking to their own future. And a lot of people who did not understand what the PPP was because of the rumors, I think over the past several years they've come, and when they come on the inside, they see what we're about. We work for the country. That's the difference.
Dr. Jagdeo, earlier you spoke about the party mobilizing and attracting young people across the country. Recently, Darren Wade would have alluded to the PNCR not engaging in these kinds of activities. Not so long ago, German Figueroa was stripped of his position as Shadow Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport. And in recent days, we've seen he's been removed as the leader of the PNCR in Linden. He did not sign on to the handshake boycott, the boycott of the stores in New York, and also the boycott of the Nomads band by Marlon Jacobs. Do you think the further sidelining of him is because he has not signed on to these points by Aubrey Norton and the PNCR?
I think that might be one of the reasons. But I think they're comfortable with fossils. And people who can who fit into a different framework for Guyana. Young people are not part of their governance framework. They're not part of it. And if they're part of it, they just get these so-called junior roles that they have to just carry out what the leader says, not to give them positions of responsibility. So I think it's the whole organization. If you look at the people who they're sending around now to share these useless flyers that they're sharing about, oh, we did 300 jobs in the past and 2,700 projects in the Amerindian communities. But I don't know which Amerindian community they did it in, 2,000, and they put it on the flyer. And some people actually parroting the thing, nonsense, right? But if you look at the age group too, it's the same people who came out of the 70s and 80s who haven't changed. They hang on to the PNC because of loyalty and because maybe of boredom, not anything else. This history. Because if any one of those people, if you have any sensible person who will sit down one day to himself and say, what did the PNC do in Guyana's history? What was their track record on things like personal welfare, my freedom, my jobs, my education standards, on everything, my accumulation of wealth? They talk about what percentage of Guyana is owned by Afro-Guyanese. Some of them like to talk about that, the usual stuff. If you look at the investments under the PPP in South Georgetown now, just look at that. The investments on the roads, the boulevards, linking say, just the Heroes Highway and now linking Aubrey Barker with the bypass, the Ogle bypass, and the access to 3 major international hotels, 2 hospitals, etc., and high-end income schemes. The property values in South Georgetown have increased by over 100%. Over 100%. That means people's personal wealth for the houses that they own have gone up by 100%. When we did the boulevard, they said we wanted to do the boulevard so we'd sell out the land to PPP people. I don't know how we would have done that, but that's the rumor that they spread, local government elections. Look at the property value. That's personal wealth of people who live in many of these areas in South Georgetown has doubled because it is now the front end of the city, coming into the city from that end. We've done that because of the investments in South. APNU, in 100 years, they wouldn't do it. They were opposed to it. Opposed to it. You wouldn't have had any of those things done. So there you have it. So I don't know why they got rid of Figueroa, but I suspect he doesn't fit into the old thinking that resides and is flourishing in the Congress Place. He doesn't. This is it. They just. I can't imagine how in 2024 anyone could look at the PNC and think that they could run our country in this period, or the AFC.
Finally, Dr. Jagdeo, you mentioned the flyers, and earlier you spoke about the PNC talking about the pay increase for temporary workers and direct transfers and things like this. This is very inconsistent because your administration has been criticized about these activities. Are you expecting to see a lot of the PPP's policies showing up in the PNC's manifesto come next year?
I suspect that. That's what I said. They can't come up with original ideas. So they should put in their manifesto what they actually said. One is we're going to put tolls on the bridges. We're going to now remove the tax-free, the corporate tax-free status for healthcare and education. We're going to put back the VAT on machinery and equipment, electricity, water, hinterland travel. They should say that we're going to remove the subsidy from GPL, or we don't want the gas to energy project, so we will come up with what? They don't say what they will come up with to supply electricity. At one stage I had a very crude thing to say where they would plug the pole thing in to get it, or a crude thing to get the electricity from, because it infuriated me. You are opposed to everything to generate power, and you're not telling us where you're going to generate the electricity from. It's crude. I know it's crude, but it is like, it's just infuriating. You're not going to build the hydro. You're not going to build the gas to energy project. You're opposed to every investment we make. Where are you going to get power from? Where are you going? So I hope they put all of this thing. And you know Nigel Hughes, he said he wanted all the parties to come together and put up a manifesto. So he wants us to do his work because he has no idea what to put down. He has no idea whatsoever. It's going to be a toilet, pit latrine manifesto, a under the tree teaching manifesto. I don't understand what kind of manifesto it would be. And so he wants, I said, we have put our manifesto, we have our LCDS, we have our national development strategy. You put up something, then we can talk. What is he going to put up? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I'm waiting for them to come forward with something so we can tick them off now, because they started to change back their positions now. Oh, we support something. Other thing. Yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Dr. Jagdeo, Nas Williams, Culture News. Sir, last week you said that Exxon is drilling and finding more oil in Liza 1 and 2, and that will be able to push the project to the original 20-year lifespan. Can you say so far where, when, and how many discoveries have been made?
Yeah. You don't have to, the reassessment, this is the assurance I'm getting, that the assessment of the existing seismic would allow for that to happen. That's where I got it from. And I think I explained that, and you can get the details. Ask Exxon for that. You ask them more. So from now on, this political paper would have to deal more with Exxon directly, because so when you go back now as a political paper, would you get editorial, would you get to write your story, or would they change it? The editors would change the story to suit a political narrative. This is going to be an important thing now going forward, because it's a party newspaper, and the party newspaper glorifies the party. You wouldn't find anything in Mirror criticizing Jagdeo, or it would make us look good as a PPP. So, will all these, would that be the new way forward now? I just wanted to know, as a reporter, how can I expect that whatever you write, if it's impartial, and I trust you that you'll be impartial, that it will not be changed by the owner of the newspaper who has just launched a political party?
I'm flattered that you think that I'll be impartial, but don't you think that if Mr. Law would have actually had a political party, since Culture News reports on PP and PNC and AFC, they would have also reported on that?
Oh, you didn't hear it? You want me to play the bit for you?
No, I'm asking that since we report on every other political party and he would have quote-unquote launched his, don't you think we would have also reported on that? Wouldn't that be like a big bleed story headline?
No, but that's why I'm so worried, because how come you find everything? You can find the last drop of oil below the sea for an Exxon and a well. You can see it actually forensically, and you did not know that he said, I'm launching a political party?
I'm not saying I did not know he said that. I'm asking that since we report on every other political party, don't you think we would have reported that as well?
No, I think that you did not report it, since you asked me that question, because he doesn't want to lose the ads, etc. So you cleverly ducked the story, not you, but the editor did not want to report on that because it doesn't suit his narrative as being impartial. So they deliberately ducked this story. And so it's even worse. I'm accusing them of ducking the story now. So you thought they wouldn't have reported on it? I'm saying now they ducked the story. That's worse, you know.
Well, you are entitled to your own feelings and opinions.
Yes. So that's all. And do you think political parties must get ads from the state ads?
I'm not a politician, so that's way over my pay grade.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Lastly, sir, the nation is awaiting the names of the beneficial owners of the Kaitru and Kanji blocks. Can you say when you will release these names? Because we would recall that at your first press conference, you would have said that an investigation would have been launched into this giveaway.
The thing is that all the names are known to everyone. You already have that. It's in the public domain. So if you're asking me, it's with the motive of just saying Jagdeo did not report. They want to carry on their Nigel Hughes story. So Nigel Hughes asked about the Kanchi and Kaitru block, and last week, without asking me, they said Jagdeo dodges the question. So I didn't get the question even, but I dodged it. And this week, after I spoke of it, now it's who are the beneficial owners. The beneficial owners have already been in the public domain. I think you wrote about it. I think you got sued. No, the Kaichor News. I think the Kaichor News even might have gotten sued over that too. So you got to do your research. Yes. Yes, next.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jagdeo, Rihanna, Kaichor News as well. Sir, a while ago, you promised to give the media a copy of the tape in which you said 3 weeks before the 2020 elections, your party will not renegotiate the Exxon contract. When are we going to get that tape? We checked all our sources and we haven't had any success so far.
You probably ducked it too. I gotta get my staff to look at it. Even if you
We would
got it,
appreciate that.
You wouldn't put it, yeah. I'll get that.
When?
But, yeah, huh?
How will we get it?
I have to look at it. I'm not working for the party newspaper now. You have a party newspaper. You should look at it yourself, yes. So look at the party's newspaper. Yes, so I'll get it to you whenever I'm ready. Whenever I'm ready. That's it. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much.